Good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome in. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVI, and I lead School's Eye on the Valley, and I am your host, Matt Watson. And if you're new to our show Eye on the Valley is brought to you, like I said, by SCVI and I Lead Schools. We're a network of charter schools with campuses in Castaic, Agua Dulce, Lancaster. We've got a fully accredited online school, and yeah, that's TK through 12th grade online. We've got a burgeoning homeschool program as well. If homeschool is your thing, then iLead Exploration might be the school for you. For more information on any of our schools, homeschool, online, classroom-based, visit us at ileadschools.org for more information. That is ileadschools.org. And in fact, I believe all of our schools are still enrolling for next year. So if you're interested in our schools, go ahead and click the Enroll Now button and get your name on that wait list. So yeah, our show, we've got our eye on education here in Santa Clarita and across the nation. But as our show says, we also keep our eye on the Valley as well, bringing you everything that you need to know about who's who and what's what here in Awesome Town. And yeah, we try to do it while bringing a smile to your face because, we've got the Friday morning show, and it's always so nice to ease our way into the weekend. And what an awesome weekend it is gonna be here. It's just an absolutely gorgeous time to be here in Santa Clarita. Last week, the city declared a ceremonious end to the pandemic with its Party on the Point, and we are full steam ahead with life among others. Not back to normal, but ahead to what we can be, ahead to a better day. And gosh, days don't get much better than today. I'm looking outside here in Newhall, and skies are clear. We got low of 50 degrees, high low to mid 80s. It's going to be just absolutely gorgeous. Springtime events popping all over the place. Come on! Look at what you've got to choose from this weekend. You've got Carl's annual shindig at Central Park. KHTS's annual Home and Garden Show is starting up this weekend. Going on this weekend at Central Park. The Child and Family Center's got one of their biggest events of the year, Taste of the Town, taking place on Sunday. You ever been to that? Oh man, some of the best food and drink available in the Valley there for you to sample, along with some great entertainment. This weekend is going to be perfect for maybe a rooftop dinner at Rhea's Winery on Main. And don't forget our friends at Gilchrist Farm. A bunch of people took our advice, went up there last weekend, had a wonderful time. It's a great weekend to head out to Gilchrist Farm. And best of all, you're kicking the weekend off with us. It is going to be a great one, no matter what you choose to do this weekend. Just get outside, enjoy the beautiful weather that we pay so much for in our mortgages and our rents and our taxes and the price of everything. So get out there and enjoy it. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. It's going to be a fun show this morning as well. So won't you join us for the entire 2 hours? We're going to start off with Chris Jones from SCVI. Chris is the school psychologist at SCVI, and we'll be talking about the innovative special education department at SCVI that honestly made headlines during the pandemic. Folks were really starting to look to SCVI and our other iLead schools for as a beacon for how to do special education during distance learning and hybrid learning and all that stuff that we had to do when schools were not able to fully open. So, yeah, we'll talk to Chris in just a minute. Then in hour number 2, we'll be talking to one of the most inspiring people you'll ever meet, Tiffany Hernandez. Tiffany is a woman who, she's just quietly making a difference for so many people in need, and she's just doing it over and over and over again. You won't want to miss her. She's really, really inspiring. And yes, for those of you that just joined the show for the Yucks, we'll have trivia with Big T. But we've also got a little mystery to figure out here on the show. I came in this morning and Engineer Patty, he's gone. Where is Engineer Patty? And who's the new guy behind the controls here at the station? So stick around. We're going to look into that. We're going to chat with our guests. We're going to get inspired. like I said, goof around a little bit, so let's go ahead and do this. My first guest this morning is, as I said, the school psychologist for SCVI Charter School. His name is Chris Jones. Christopher Jones is a licensed educational psychologist and nationally certified school psychologist. He earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in child development from Cal State University Northridge. He's a matador like me. And he earned his Master of Arts degree and Certificate of Advanced Graduate Study in School Psychology from Tufts University. He worked as a school psychologist in Massachusetts as well as California for about 10 years before leaving public education to open his own private practice. But after 15 years, Chris returned to public education as a school psychologist by joining us at SCVI in August of 2020. Yeah, right there in the height of the pandemic. Chris has been recognized by the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors and the William S. Hart Union High School District for his innovative work as a school psychologist. He was the recipient of the California Association of School Psychologists Outstanding School Psychologist Award and the Suzanne Fisher Leadership Award. Chris was also appointed to the Board of Behavioral Sciences by Governor Gavin Newsom and as the LEP member in 2020. Man, are we lucky to have him at our school. Chris, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Thank you, Matt. It's great to be here.
Well, like I said, it is good to have you, and incredibly impressive resume. How did we get so lucky to pick you up at SCVI? How'd you come to work with our school?
Well, it started actually with a little bit of tragedy, as you read in the bio. I was a school psych for 10 years, and then I got frustrated with the reactiveness of special education in public education, so I left and I opened my own practice. And I did that for 15 years. During that time, I had a lot of school contracts. In fact, about 60% of my business was school contracts. Okay. So then COVID hit, and because I did direct service with kids, those contracts all went away. Oh. And so I had to figure out how I was going to maintain, the practice and my career. So I said, you know what, maybe it's time to get back into public education. So I was looking around. I didn't really want to go back to the public schools that I'd left because, that system I thought was still pretty flawed. So I wanted to look for something different. And I had actually worked for SCVI when they first opened. Amber and Dawn contracted with me when they first opened to do some consulting with them and some professional development. And over the years, I'd had some SCVI clients for counseling in my private practice. So it's pretty knowledgeable about the school. I didn't know as much about iLead as a whole, but doing my research, I'm like, hey, these guys seem like they're doing things different and they're doing things right. And I also felt, with the pandemic going on, that iLead with their online hybrid programs probably were better suited to deal with the educational crisis that we were in. So I threw my application in the ring with them, and the interview was awesome, and I really connected with some of the psychologists and some of the upper administration, and I'm like, you know what, I think this is really going to be a good fit. So they offered me the position, and I hopped on board. And that was 2 years ago. So it's been great to be part of the iLead family. It's been a tremendous experience.
Well, gosh, yeah. So essentially, you had gone into private practice, and your business was one of the many that was a casualty of the pandemic during the shutdown, huh?
It was in a sense. I mean, I still have the practice. It's just dialed back.
Sure.
So because I'm at iLead full time,
right.
I do the practice in the evening. I still have individual clients that I see. We still run some social skills groups for kids on the spectrum. But it's definitely not quite the focus that it used to be, which is okay. It was a really tough transition because it's something that I had built for so long, and it took a minute to reconcile with that. But upon reflection of just kind of the things that life hands you and the directions you need to go, I'm actually still pretty blessed that I've had the opportunity to do the things that I've done in my career. And now to have landed at SCVI and iLead, it's really, after you wipe the tears away and
Yeah.
you can look at the positives. It's really been a good thing. But yeah, we took a big hit with COVID.
Yeah, and definitely, I want to talk to you in a little bit about how things are a little bit different at SCVI, the way you work with kids at our school versus even other traditional public schools. But before we do that, I want to talk about kind of just the typical day-to-day responsibilities of a school psychologist. What is it that your responsibilities are? Are you providing one-to-one therapy for kids, or is it more group settings, or what does a school psychologist typically do?
I think the bigger question is, what don't we do? We're one of those professions that everybody knows we're there, but no one really truly understands what it is that we do in our job.
Hey, that's job security, man.
Exactly, right? We're the mystery. It's fantastic. So typically, well, my main role with ILEAD and with SCVI is assessment. So what we're doing is working with kids, either what we call an initial assessment when someone's worried that there might be a learning disability, some sort of like emotional disorder, or a medical condition that's impacting their access to the general education curriculum. Then we come in and we do an assessment to determine if they would meet eligibility criteria for special education. So that's the my primary function. So I'm working one-to-one with kids, assessing, looking at different things. I'm in classrooms doing observations. I'm consulting with staff about the kids, their learners, and what issues they're having. I'm building relationships with parents so that, to walk them through the process, because it's scary as a parent to hear that there might be a problem with your learner. So, and I'm a parent myself, so I understand that, that it can be difficult to have to deal with that. So that's the primary thing that we do. Then there's all the behind-the-scenes stuff. If kids walk in the office, into our student support office, then they have an issue. I pretty much drop what I'm doing unless I'm working one-on-one with someone and deal with whatever their issue is. So we do support learners through counseling. A lot of consultation. A facilitator may come in and say, "Hey, Chris, I've got this issue in my classroom. Can you help me figure out how to deal with it?" Typically, it's behavior. So we'll walk in and try to consult with them just to kind of keep things running smooth. So I do a lot of behind-the-scenes work with the adults. I do a lot of one-on-one stuff with the kids. The whole purpose of it is just to keep everybody moving forward and to support both the learners and the staff and parents as they kind of go through their educational journey.
Yeah, so gosh, you're absolutely right. Kids need all kids need support, right? And then so there's ways that you consult with our educators to help them support all of their learners, but then some kids need a little bit more, and so you're there, I guess, to assess who needs something a little bit more regimented and kind of beyond the scope of the regular classroom educator. Chris, you used a lot of the different language that we use at SCVI, and we're very intentional about that. Our school was founded because we intend to do things a little bit differently, right? And that's the whole point behind charter schools, is to provide a little different option than the traditional public school, but still in a public setting. You talked about how we call our kids learners rather than students because, well, that context of student tends to imply a little bit more passive, receptive kind of individual rather than a learner who is more active. You talked about how our educators are facilitators rather than teachers. They're not up there as the fountains of knowledge, but they're the ones that set the stage for the kids to drive the education. And it's not just semantic, right? The way we do things at SCVI and the rest of our ILEAD schools is a bit different. Can you tell us some of the differences between working specifically as a school psychologist and then also maybe even some of your colleagues, some of the differences between working in a traditional district school versus working at SCVI?
Yeah, now that's a great question. And to be honest, when I first jumped on board, in August of 2020, it took me a minute to kind of, get used to the different language. And, when you're used to calling kids, students for 20 years. And then you have to, you're changing the lingo. You're right. It's not just a word. It's a concept. It's a philosophy. Sure. And it took me a good, I don't know, maybe 3/4, almost the full school year to really kind of internalize what it meant to refer to kids as learners and to our educators as facilitators. But then when you sit back and you watch the whole thing in action, it makes a lot of sense. It really does. And that's I would say the biggest difference that I see, from a school like SCVI as compared to a typical public school is that they really, truly are trying to build leaders. We don't want kids sitting passively in their desks, just taking in information and regurgitating it. Sure. And a lot of that is demonstrated through the project-based learning concept, is that we really are working to build these kids into confident, sustainable humans that can really become leaders in our community and hopefully our nation and maybe even the world. And that is the biggest thing that I see. It is that active learning process that goes on. And from the psychology perspective of it, it opens up so many different ways for kids to learn that it actually cuts down on some of the typical referrals that I would get if I were in a public school setting about kids that maybe have a learning disability or, some other issue, because we are hitting them from all different aspects of learning, hands-on learning, kinesthetic learning, sure. Art, music, all of these different things that are allowing kids to really show and shine and really be who they are, and instead of trying to force them into a box. And that's really the biggest difference. It's, SCVI and ILEAD, they don't follow a set formula like I think a lot of typical public schools do. And because of that, because they're given that opportunity to try different things and to experiment and to fail and not have a huge consequence of failing. If it doesn't work, great. You know what? Let's look at why it didn't work and then try something different. Yeah. And let's get there a different way. And that's what the facilitation is. It's not like I'm going to force you to learn one way. It's like, hey, that didn't work for you. Okay, let's try it this way instead. And the openness that I see from the facilitators working with our learners that way really has been an eye-opening experience from someone who came from a very traditional educational background.
Chris, you mentioned some really interesting concepts that I want to delve into of the opportunities that you offer our learners, not just learners who have been identified as special education, but also our general education population. I want to talk about that. We've got to take a quick commercial, but when we come back, we'll discuss that. Chris, I also want to talk about kind of the phenomenon that we're seeing after the school closure as kids are coming back. Things are different than they used to be, and I want to ask you about that, given your expertise. So let's talk about those two things when we come back. Chris Jones is the school psychologist at SCVI Charter School. We'll talk more with him on the other side. I am Matt Watson. This is SCVI and ILEAD Schools Eye on the Valley. You're listening to your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVI and ILEAD Schools Eye on the Valley. And I'm joined this morning by Chris Jones. He's the school psychologist at SCVI Charter School. Before we get into it, Chris, a lot of folks ask me, okay, so you guys are a charter school, so how much do you charge? That's kind of a misnomer. We are a public school, and it is completely tuition free. The moniker charter just means that we get to do things a little bit less restrictively, i.e., kind of, Chris, the way you were talking about before, the way we know is right for kids. And then the second thing is we can take students or learners from pretty much anywhere around the county or even adjacent counties. So, Chris, before the break, you were talking about how the way you provide services, the way you work with our kids, our learners, is quite a bit different at SCVI. One of the things that we do with our special education learners is we use what's referred to as an inclusion model. Can you explain to our listeners what the inclusion model means and what that looks like at SCVI?
Sure. The inclusion model basically just means that there's no separate educational setting that we have for learners. So in a traditional public school, you might have what's called like a resource room where kids may go part of the day to get more individualized instruction, or if their needs are more severe, then they would have what's called a special day class, which is a completely separate learning environment where they're working directly with a special education teacher, and that would be kind of their home base. At SCBI, the philosophy is inclusion. So no matter what the learning level of the learners are, they are included in the general education classroom with their typical peers. So it gives them the opportunity not only to be exposed to the typical general education curriculum, but it also gives them an opportunity to be part of that classroom environment on a regular basis and really to socialize with their typical peers.
Yeah, it's interesting. I started teaching in LA back in the mid 90s, and I remember periodically throughout the day there would be a special education teacher that would show up and grab one or two of my kids and take off with them for an hour or two, and then bring them back, and the kids would always wonder, where do you go, and what do you do? And it was awkward for kids to be pulled out of the class like that, and then they'd come back and maybe they missed something, and they were trying to get caught up. That's very different than what happens at SCBI, right?
Oh yeah, it is. In fact, our special education teachers, we refer to them as educational specialists. They go into the classroom and then they work with learners that are identified as having special needs. It might be on IEPs. But in addition to that, they just help everybody. So if there's a kid that's struggling with a concept or with reading, math, whatever, and they need that support, then our ed specs get to walk in and help them too. So it's like, we're all educators. Everybody needs assistance. So that way it really does cut down on the stigma. Like to your point,
Yeah.
when the kid's being pulled out, where do they go? It's this big mystery. And usually the kid can't, tell you about it because they may not fully understand what's happening. They just know that they're different. And then, so they have to go somewhere else. This concept allows everybody to be in the same classroom and the support to come to them. Which really, like I said, destigmatizes disabilities, allows access for our typical learners to get support when they may need it too.
So by not pulling kids with special education needs out of the classroom, that doesn't mean that you're not giving them services. You're still giving them all the high quality special education services that they deserve, that they require, but it's in the context of their regular classroom, and then that education specialist is there to also help out other kids as they get stuck with something or have some other need. Now, Chris, as my career developed, I watched it, and I also got to be one of those teachers that had the benefit of having kids who, like you said, were in special day classes, who were removed for the entire day. They would be included in my classroom, and I always saw what a benefit that was, right? For me, it was always really important, and I saw how kids with special education needs being in the regular education classroom, how that benefited them. But this can sometimes concern parents of general education learners. But this doesn't take away from their education. It actually benefits it, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. There's so many benefits to it. The facilitator is still delivering the curriculum that they would deliver. The nice thing is that at FCBI, that curriculum gets differentiated for all of our learners. So we have the kids who are, flying high and they're doing more complex work. And the kids that are struggling, they may be doing something a little bit different too. But by allowing our kids with disabilities to be in the general education classroom, like I said before, you destigmatize disabilities. You expose other, typical kids to kids with disabilities. So therefore, it just becomes part of the daily routine. So by not pulling them out, you're just making it normal. This is just how it is. And then kids are like, okay, that's great. And then they move on, and then it gives more social opportunities. The other advantage that you have is that there's another facilitator in the room a lot of the time.
Sure.
So, there can be co-teaching opportunities. There can be, more inclusion opportunities by bridging the gap between typical learners and kids with different disabilities. And then in addition to that, there's benefit for the general education facilitator, because a lot of times, in my experience, and it sounds like, Matt, you and I have been doing this about the same amount of time, is that a lot of times general education facilitators are nervous or scared to work with kids with disabilities because they don't feel that that's within their training.
Yeah.
So by having them in the classroom all of the time, it kind of forces them to work with them, but then they have the support of the educational specialists to say, hey, it's not that scary. They're just kids. And all we have to do is just like change this, change that, and then they're good to go. So they know that they're supported. That way everybody wins.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And so the educator, by working with all kids, sharpens their skills and becomes more adept at providing a more personalized education for every single one of their learners. And the same thing is true about the learners. They learn how to work with people of diverse needs, people who are different from them, and that can only benefit them as they get into college and career, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think it was a fourth grader in my class a few years back that described it best. I had a learner in my class who had some pretty severe special education needs, and I also had a brand new kid who had just come out of the district. And this new kid was talking to me, but he was looking at this learner that had quite a few needs, and he said, "What's he doing?" But almost like in accusatory fashion. And another little girl who had been at our school for quite a while, she says, "That's Billy. He's just doing what he needs to do, just like you're doing what you need to do and what I'm doing what I need to do." And that just beautifully encapsulated how things work at our school. So
that's great.
So a big part of your job is developing these individualized education plans for learners. And like we said, as you work with learners that have diverse, some of them more extreme needs, that can be a struggle sometimes, isn't it? When you've got this inclusion model where these learners, again, sometimes with some pretty severe needs, are being included in the general education classroom, that can be a struggle sometimes for facilitators to meet these different needs, can it?
Oh, yeah, it is, because general education facilitators don't necessarily have the special education training that our ed specs do. So they're not really versed in a lot of the different types of disabilities, especially the more severe ones when you're talking about like kids that might have, more severe autism or like Down syndrome or, something that doesn't, that's a real visible disability. By providing them that support from our ed specs and giving them the knowledge and kind of almost like on-the-job training about how we work with, kids with different needs, then I think it opens up so many different opportunities for everyone to be successful. And, one of the things, Matt, that, you brought up a great point that, a lot of times with kids that have really unique needs, it's not oftentimes that you see a full inclusion program, and that those kids might need some more really individualized attention. So this is where I kind of have to give a shout out to our parents, because they see the bigger picture. Sometimes it's not always about learning all of the core academics to the point where they're going to be able to go to a 4-year university. Sometimes it's really about that social emotional learning piece and the benefit of kids with disabilities being in the typical classroom with their typical peers and having that exposure, that social exposure, because there's so much growth that we can see simply by having kids in a room and letting them interact. One of my philosophies of when I do a lot of work with kids on the spectrum, that's kind of, how I really got my start. And when we're talking about how to help with socialization, because I'm a child development major, everything goes back to, to being a kid. I said, no matter what the disability, if you throw pizza in the middle of a table and put kids around it, they're going to socialize, regardless of their ability level. And with that simple concept, I've seen it be true so many times that that's really kind of what happens at SCBI. To your point with Billy and the little girl, it's not a big deal. It just is. Billy is Billy, right? And I'm me and you're you, and let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's go play dodgeball. Great. All right. So it's really a beautiful thing to see in action.
Well, and it's funny, in talking about Billy, one of the strengths that he had is he was an amazing artist, right? He dealt with so many issues. Oftentimes, he would find relaxation in drawing. And with project-based learning, kids do spend a lot of time illustrating some of the things that they're doing, or putting some sort of visual detail on projects that they're developing. And my kids learned really quickly that just like everyone else in the classroom, Billy had some areas where he struggled and some areas where he really excelled. And they learned to kind of parlay that, right? If you need some support with the artistic detail on your project, go grab Billy. And then you can support him with maybe doing a little bit of research with him, and you can work well with each other. And gosh, isn't that what employers look for oftentimes the most, above maybe that content area knowledge?
Yeah, absolutely. And without the opportunity of inclusion, nobody would know that Billy was a great artist.
Right.
Because it would have been, and for them to see it organically versus it being, kind of brought to their attention, that's even more powerful. Because it's like, oh, Billy's just like us. He's just got some stuff. But man, look how well you can draw. I can't draw that good. I wish I could draw that good. So that's an awesome story. Yeah,
and before I shift gears, I do want to mention that Billy is a pseudonym. I obviously changed names for educational protection and privacy, but I do have the picture emblazoned in my mind. What an amazing young man he was. Now, Chris, again, I want to shift gears a little bit. This is something that I, as an educator, have taken particular interest in lately. Couple of years ago, and it's no secret, a couple of years ago our school shut down, and kids were really up against it, right? Where they were all of a sudden doing school from home in their pajamas. Teachers, facilitators, educators everywhere were struggling to roll out the curriculum that they normally roll out, but through a computer screen. Engagement was at an all-time low. Kids weren't able to be at school and interact with their friends, develop those close bonds with their teachers, with their facilitators. It was just a real struggle for everybody. But then schools opened back up. And I think some of us had kind of this naive idea that, hooray, everything's back. But we quickly learned that it was a little bit different. I think some of us expected those first and second graders to struggle a little bit because it had been so long, if they'd ever been on campus, right? We had second graders coming on campus sometimes for the first time. But what we didn't expect is for those middle school and high school kids who you would think are, quote unquote, used to school, to have struggles when they come back on campus. But even today, even after it's been, a full year now that campuses have been back open, we're still seeing some behavioral issues. And I'm not talking about with our special education population. I'm talking about with all of our kids. We're seeing behavioral issues, adaptive issues like never before. Can you talk a little bit about what's going on with our kids kind of post-pandemic, kind of as we're pulling out of this strange and weird time?
Yeah, I mean, Matt, you couldn't have said it better. I think we all were naive in hoping that things would just kind of, snap back to normal. But that definitely was not the case. You spend a year and a half, 2 years in isolation. We've seen kids who basically forgot how to play together to for lack of a better term. And I even mean that from the middle school and high school perspective. Just how do you interact with a group? How do you sustain attention long enough in a classroom? When for the last 2 years you've been trained to work in 20 to 30 minute intensive blocks on a computer. Now I need you to maintain focus and attention for an hour in a room where you can't just get up and, go somewhere else. Or turn your camera off where you just can't turn your camera off. I think that's probably the best analogy, is that there's that exposure. And kids were feeling, I don't know if safe is the right word, but they knew that if things got bad, they could just turn the camera off, and they can't do that anymore. Now they're out there in front of everybody. So we're seeing a lot of anxiety. We're seeing kids who are who are dealing with depression. And in adolescence, depression often comes out as anger. And so we're looking at kids who are really struggling to adjust back to kind of that normal life. Man, when we walked in August, it was like the concrete jungle on the playground. It was like we had to teach kids how to play again, how to interact with one another. It was crazy. Things have gotten better as the year has gone on, and as kids have acclimated back to kind of whatever our new sense of normal is. We are still seeing high levels of anxiety. We're seeing a lot of depression. We're seeing a lot of acting out behavior. And we have such a tremendous student support staff at SCVI. I mean, in our little suite up there, it's a constant revolving door of kids coming in for support, telling us that they're just not okay. And, we are doing everything that we can to not only support them, but the facilitators when they're in the classroom, and parents too when they have them at home. So we're hoping that this adjustment thing is going to, taper down as we open back up. But yeah, there's a lot of long-term effects from the being quarantined.
Yeah. And you mentioned an important fact, right? Our kids need our support and patience, but our educators, our teachers need our support. Our parents need our support. So everybody just be patient. It's going to take a little while to come out of this thing. Chris, I'm so grateful that at SCVI we have the support of you and your team. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Chris. And let's do it again real soon. You have a great weekend, sir.
All right, you too, Matt. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And those of you that are listening, we've been looking, but we haven't been able to track down Engineer Patty. I just got a text from him saying that he's on some sort of special assignment. So I'm not sure about that. We will look into it when we come back. Hopefully we'll have some answers. I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVI and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station. 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. We are coming to you live from the KHTS studios here at the center of Main Street in beautiful downtown Newhall. It is absolutely beautiful, and if you're not sure what to do tonight or this weekend, gosh, all you need to do is bump on down here to downtown Newhall, Main Street, park the car, wander around. You're going to find 4 or 5 different things that you're going to want to do. So we are here, but as I mentioned, Engineer Patty is not. Engineer Patty is AWOL this morning. He no-showed on us this morning. He's claiming he's on some sort of special assignment this morning, he left me with this sub here, some scrub substitute. What's your name, young fella?
Hey, Andrew, the director of operations here.
Oh, okay. It's Engineer Andrew. Okay, so not some scrub. He's the director of operations. Still feeling a little bit slighted. No offense, buddy.
Okay. All right.
Andrew and I have been trying to track down Patty this morning. Andrew, my money is on Patty having locked himself in the basement for the next 3 days for the NFL draft. He's probably got Excel spreadsheets of teams and scenarios and how it affects his fantasy football draft picks. What about you? What do you think?
Oh yeah, he says he's can't work, but yeah, he's definitely watching the draft. Definitely watching the draft.
Okay, so he's doubling down on his assertion that he's on an assignment by the big boss this time, he says.
Oh yeah.
So I think, do we have him on the phone?
I believe we do.
Okay, fantastic. We've got Carl on the phone right now. That's right. Santa Clarita Valley's 2008 Man of the Year, SCVI Charter Schools 2016 Vision and Education co-honoree and co-owner of your hometown station, KHTS, the absolute model of volunteerism, service, and philanthropy in the Santa Clarita Valley. Carl, how are you this morning?
I am doing fabulous. I am out here at Central Park, and believe it or not, Patty is out here working.
Oh, we have him.
There he is.
Okay. I wasn't trying to get the guy in trouble, but young Patrick, he's got duties on our show this morning, so he is indeed on special assignment. He's working with you.
Like a little metal beam.
Yeah, I'm wearing in honor of the NFL draft, I'm wearing the Philadelphia Eagles hat. Patty's wearing a something, a Bermuda hat, I believe.
He's got a
He looks like he's ready for the South Seas.
well, fantastic. His team, the Seahawks, didn't have as good a night last night as your Eagles did.
I know, but he does have a Seahawks sweatshirt on.
Okay.
So that's okay.
Good for him. Good for him.
We are we're getting set up now it's exciting. We've been on hiatus for 2 years now. This is the 11th annual Home and Garden Show, KHTS Home and Garden Show. This is the third year we've done the 11th annual. But the big tents are up. The vendors are beginning to come and get set up. And all the excitement will start tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. over at Central Park, and Sunday from 10 to 4. And the good news, Matt, is guess how much it costs to get in?
I'm thinking, maybe $10-15?
Yeah, it's actually free of charge.
Get out.
We're a giver. Free of charge, free parking, no admission. And this year we added a really fun exhibit. It's a tent that's about a 30-foot tent filled with butterflies. And everyone will have a chance to be given a feed stick free of charge, walk in the tent, and feed the butterflies.
How cool is that? So this isn't just, go get vertical blinds or new windows for the house. You guys have got all different kinds of stuff out there.
Exactly. And then we also embedded the Emergency Expo, so all the first responders will be here.
Cool.
At 1:30 on Saturday. We'll do a Jaws of Life demonstration, which is always exciting to watch. And as said, just about everything imaginable for the homeowner will be here. We've got about 400 different vendors, so a lot of different stuff. There's a craft show, and we set up for Patty. We've got food trucks.
All right.
So we've got a dozen food trucks that can pretty much take his choice and do a little tasting up and down the food truck alley.
Well, that's how you're going to get me out there as well as with food. But you said you've got the emergency demonstrations, you've got crafts. So this is fun for the whole family. This isn't just for mom and dad, huh?
Absolutely. We have a petting zoo, courtesy of Gilchrist Farm, pig races, pony rides, and as I mentioned earlier, the butterflies.
Wow.
So
and
lots of stuff for the entire family.
I see here you've got Pacific Ponds, a Vinyl Fence Company, our friends from Rhea's Winery, Painting with a Twist. You've got all different kinds of things going on out there. Well, gosh, Carl, that sounds like a lot of fun. Like you said, 10 to 5 tomorrow, 10 to 4 on Sunday, free of charge out at Central Park. Head on out there. Carl, I'm glad to hear that Patty's okay and that he's not going to get himself in any trouble. We appreciate you calling in and clearing things up for us.
Thanks, guys. You take care.
You take
Bye-bye.
care. We got to take a quick break, but when we get back, we're going to meet someone who's going to really, really inspire you. Someone who just sees a need and steps in. Let's hear more about that when we come back. I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVI, and I lead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station. 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, your host, and you're listening to SCVI, and I lead School's Eye on the Valley. Really excited about my next guest. She's joining us in studio this morning. She is an amazing young lady who's doing beautiful things for those who need it most. I'm talking about Tiffany Hernandez. Tiffany was born in the Monterey area, but discovered early in life that there's a place more awesome than that, and came down here and has lived here locally with us for quite a while now. And she's taken on several incredibly moving projects that are heartfelt, inspiring, but most importantly are filling some really important needs in our community. Tiffany, good morning. Welcome to Eye in the Valley.
Good morning.
I'm so glad you joined us this morning. What you're doing really does deserve to have a light shine on it. So you recently spearheaded an amazing project that's helping young people celebrate senior prom. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about what it is that you're doing?
Yeah, so I just got a crazy thought that these girls wear their dresses one time and they just sit in their closet. So I said, let me reach out to any of my friends and see if anybody has old dresses that are just sitting around that maybe could be repurposed for someone else. And, the cost of prom is a lot between dresses, hair, nails, makeup. The tickets themselves are like $150, $170.
Right.
So I just started with like a very small little, 10 rack of dresses. And then I decided to post it on Facebook. Hey, does anyone have dresses lying around? And the community members just started leaving dresses on my doorstep. So something really small turned into something, really amazing for a lot of girls.
Yeah, that's, you're absolutely right. Prom is an incredibly special time. I remember when I was in high school, I wasn't dating anyone my senior year, but the prevailing attitude was, oh, you got to go to your senior prom. And it's almost a requirement, but it's so expensive. And a dress can be one of the most expensive costs. A dress, like you said, that kids might wear once.
Yes, and then hang in the closet. Yeah. The dresses are hundreds of dollars. And,
Yeah.
And I have last year my son graduated and he didn't have prom. They didn't have anything.
He was one of those
He was
kids that
okay with it. I mean, I think out of any of my kids, he would have been the one to be okay missing. But this year, my daughter was not about to miss it. And, the cost is it's just a lot for a one-night event for a teenager. So
Right. And so some kids who might struggle or maybe just don't want to spend a couple $100 to what turns out to essentially be renting a dress that you can't return.
Yeah. When I said that, once I had so many dresses that I had collected, when I made a post and said like, hey, if anybody needs or wants a dress, like I didn't say you have to be in some sort of need, because I don't care if you're the richest person in the town. Like, if you don't want to go spend $300 for a couple hours of your life, come get a free dress,
That's a great point.
And the other fun thing was that like those dresses, they couldn't be found at a store. So they would be different than what somebody else had, because they were from a previous year.
Yeah, because this year's line is this year's line, right? And then I'm a guy. The objective for a guy is to show up looking like every other guy, but it's not the same for dresses, right?
No two girls want to have the same dress. That is just not cool.
And so you can get something that's maybe a little retro or even just from a couple years ago that's just a little bit different. What a cool notion. I never really thought about that. Yeah. Tiffany, how did you come up with this idea? What made you think, you know what? Somebody's going to need a dress and I can collect some dresses to help them out.
I mean, it just sort of came to my mind once my daughter came home and started talking about prom and all the costs that were involved. And I was like, there's got to be something we can do to alleviate this a little bit. And then I just thought, let's find some dresses that we can maybe connect with some girls and, at least do a little piece of, help to the community.
That is really beautiful. Now, this has got to take up a decent amount of space in your home.
It does.
Okay, tell me about that.
So I borrowed a couple racks from a friend.
All right.
I'm not sure if she wants her name on here, but she is always helping with any project that I do. And she brought 2 like clothing racks over, and they were completely full in my garage. And so I set a little space for girls to like hide in like this certain area to try on dresses.
Sure.
And but it was a very fun project. I enjoyed like seeing all the girls' faces, but it is very time consuming. I don't know if people really quite grasp, like you have to set an appointment for someone to come into your home and try something on, and I have 5 kids of my own that I'm trying to manage. So it was a lot of work, but it ended up being amazing for a lot of girls. So
oh gosh, well, definitely well worth it, at least for the community. But you're right, you kind of started your own business that's not making any money, but it's helping out
a free business.
A lot of people. Now so we're just kind of coming toward the end of prom season. Is this kind of a one-time thing? You did this year and it's going away, and you're done, or is this going to be a rolling thing? My
family would love for me to do this one time, but they all know better that, once I start something, I'll do it again for sure. Oh, fantastic. And I was reading a little bit about you, and you just kind of have that heart. This is a huge undertaking. Did you have help, or is this something you do on your own? Well, I have like a right-hand man. Her name is Deborah. She always helps me with any project I do. But this, being in your home and sort of like having to make appointments and stuff, it was a lot of just sort of having to do it myself and, coordinate what works with my kids' schedules and the running around that I have to do with them. And we did have some donations that were made. One lady, we'll just call her A, donated $500. And so I was able to spread that between 7 girls. So when a girl came and chose a dress, I gave her a little envelope with some money to either help for her ticket or her hair or nails. And we did have a couple of like beauticians, or I'm not sure what you call them, but donate for hair. We had one lady donate 2 hair certificates. A lady donated some nail certificates. So we've, just sort of like one item for each girl type of thing.
Sure.
And then we had 3 girls who we were able to fully fund, like top to bottom.
Wow.
Ticket, hair, nails, makeup, dress, shoes, jewelry. I mean, all of that. And then we had one extra girl reach out that said, I have a dress, but I don't have any jewelry. And so I just made like a quick little search, and people like had clutch and earrings and stuff, and we got those for her too.
So the need is definitely there.
For sure.
And Lord knows you need the help. And I know there are plenty of small businesses out there that maybe hadn't heard of what you're doing, but would love to get involved. If I'm a small business owner and can say, you know what, I can do, 3 settings of hair or whatever, and I'd like to donate to that cause, how do they get a hold of you?
Probably Facebook would be the easiest way. I put my phone number out there. I mean, anyone
Okay.
can really text me. I don't usually answer the phone very often, but anyone could text me or reach me on Facebook or email. Any of the ways. I'm pretty open to.
Okay, so if someone does own a hair salon and would like to get involved, they just search you on Facebook, Tiffany Hernandez. You're pretty easy to find.
Yep.
Alrighty, I think I saw the post you have at least pinned at the top of your page.
Yes.
Right now has a picture of dresses, and so
Yes.
pretty easy to locate you. Now, like I said, you're helping lots of families, lots of young people, but in working myself with students, I know that there's sometimes a little bit of self-joy, the pleasure that we get.
Yeah.
What's one of your favorite moments of working with these young
Well,
ladies?
I think like the total numbers, what we have so far is one thing that is really like, proud, inspiring for me. Like we've had 53 girls choose dresses for prom alone.
And that's just this season, right?
Just this season.
Okay.
We've had 8 choose formal dresses for
All right.
graduations or events that they had younger girls.
Mm-hmm.
We donated 15 dresses to Heart, and I still have 70 dresses hanging for anybody else who needs them last minute. A few stories that just sort of meant a lot to me. We had this one teeny tiny little, 4 foot something girl. She was the cutest thing. One of the most recent girls. And she came and she tried on this dress and she just fell in love with it. And she's, looking at herself in the mirror, and she gave me a big hug. And, teenagers, a lot of times, I think sometimes they're maybe a little embarrassed. They don't want
Yeah.
to feel ashamed. This girl was just so appreciative. And, that's rare. I have teenagers myself. I know how they can be. And then we had 2 sisters. It's a single mom situation, and we've helped her with certain things in the past, but they were going with friends and didn't have the extra means. So one of them we covered head to toe, and then the other girl we helped with some stuff. But they both got their dresses, and we were even able to get one of the dresses altered for the girl, and we were covered that expense as well. So yeah, it's inspiring because you're making someone's day like a little bit easier.
Yeah, that's you're right. Inspiring to you, but gosh, this requires a lot of hustle.
It does.
Kudos
It's
to you
worth
for-
it though. It's worth it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can see behind the smile you really do get a lot of pleasure out of this.
Yes.
But that's something special. A person that gets so much pleasure out of working so hard to help others out without gaining anything but that satisfaction.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. So is the deal that that people borrow dresses and then they return them? Do they keep the dresses typically, or is it just whatever?
No, they can keep them. I mean, I had one girl ask me like, "Oh, should I bring it back after?" And I'm like, "No, hang it up." And then I guess towards the beginning of next year we'll start a collection again, and then
Call out.
once we have enough dresses, we'll start sending them out.
Oh, fantastic. So now, for me as a dad, I spent the money on the dress and the nails and the hair, and but my daughter, she was super sweet. She says, "Oh, Dad, thank you so much. I'm so grateful." I said, No. Just make sure that Dad gets to go with you to take pictures and do all that. The pictures were my payment. Do you ever get pictures back from prom?
I did. Actually, we a couple of the proms were last Saturday, and I got pictures from about 8 girls. I was pretty impressed. some parents, but then, I had a couple girls reach out directly and say like, hey, thank you so much. Here's some pictures. I had so much fun. I couldn't have done this without you. Or, yeah. So that is really cool to see after the fact too, that, and I posted a lot of pictures. I did like the first batch. I'm ready to do the second one, but I cut off everyone's head just so that like
in the photograph.
Yes.
Okay.
So like if you donated the dress, you could see some other girl wearing it,
Oh,
so it would
I see.
So it would feel good for you, like, hey, that was my dress, or
but
whatever.
still guarding the anonymity.
Yes,
of
letting
the
them be
young lady.
private,
Yeah.
and if they want to show their face, they're welcome to do that. But
Right.
that's not my position to do.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. Gosh, you've kind of thought of everything. That really is amazing. So this is something that you're going to continue.
Yeah, I'll
next
do it again
year.
next year. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I didn't hear that you were doing this until producer Sarah reached out to me, because
Yeah.
I still have that prom dress that I got for my daughter a couple years ago, and I'm going to make sure that you get it.
Yes, thank you.
So one more time for folks like me who are in their car on the way to work or at home and going, yeah, I've got a dress or two that I can donate, or for those folks that are saying my prom hasn't taken place yet, or I got a springtime wedding coming up and I don't know how I'm gonna to get a dress. How do folks get a hold of you?
I mean, you can share my phone number if you would. Okay.
If you want, you share.
Sure, it's a 661-714-4415. Text is 100% better. I will very rarely answer the phone. You could reach me on email, which is jhtcowboys88@gmail, or find me on Facebook, or on any of the community pages. There's a community chat page. There's Mom Connection. You can find lots of my posts on there as well.
Okay, fantastic. So don't call, text.
I mean, you could call, but you most likely won't get an answer.
It's funny. You remind me of my kids. I'll call them. They don't live with me anymore, and so I'll call them, and they'll answer the phone and say, "What are you doing? Text me." Okay,
Yeah.
so text
Yeah.
661-714-4415. I'm also going to have producer Sarah drop that phone number on our Facebook Live feed, as well as your email, so they can call or email you to either drop off or pick up a dress. You're doing beautiful things, but Tiffany, this isn't the only amazing thing that you've taken on. You've come up with several different beautiful ways to help other people. Let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll talk about some of the other things that you've done. Gosh, you are an amazing young woman. I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and my guest this morning is Tiffany Hernandez. Tiffany recently, didn't recently conduct. I was going to say conducted, but that would imply past tense. Recently launched a project here in Santa Clarita to provide beautiful prom and formal dresses to young ladies who might otherwise not be able to pick up what's typically a very expensive garment that you only wear once. Tiffany, this is beautiful and really inspiring, and I can just see the joy that you get from it, although it's hours and hours of work and effort, and certainly can inconvenience you and your family, but it's an amazing thing that you're doing here in our community. But it's not the only major project that you've taken on, is it? I'm talking about Brooklyn's Blessings. First of all, who is Brooklyn, and what is Brooklyn's Blessings?
Brooklyn is my daughter. She's 8 now. She was born with some medical problems, and she spent a lot of time in and out of Children's Hospital.
Okay.
Brooklyn's Blessings is just any little project that we do to give back, really, to anyone, anytime. And she, on her own, at 4 years old, someone asked her what she wanted for her birthday, and she said she wanted Play-Doh to take to her hospital. So that was the first year we did it. And Brooklyn was in therapy until she was 3, and she hated Play-Doh. And Play-Doh is like one of the hardcore things they use in therapy because it helps kids.
Sure, it's something they play with, but it helps strengthen their muscles and dexterity. Yeah,
and she wanted nothing to do with it for years. And I personally cannot stand Play-Doh. the smell, the touch, it grosses me out. But eventually she came around to liking Play-Doh and then asked for Play-Doh for her birthday. So all of our friends and family gave her Play-Doh for her birthday the first year, and we took like 500 Play-Doh to Children's Hospital. So then next year we did the same, and it just kind of grew from there. So this year was our 5th year. Usually we do it around her birthday in March. And this year, so far, we've collected 10,088 Play-Dohs.
10,088 canisters of Play-Doh?
Yes.
Wow. And then, so this is used by Children's Hospital of Los Angeles for therapy, for play?
For both. They use a lot of it in therapy. They go through like 1,000 containers a month, her therapist tells us.
Wow.
But they also have like a cart that goes around, and it's just kind of like to bring smiles to kids who, you know, you're going to a yucky appointment and you're having a bad day, and they have this little cart that comes around and like, hey, you want some Play-Doh? And they'll open it up and let them pick. And, you know, we still have a lot of appointments down there in Brooklyn. Whenever she sees the cart, she's like, Mom, I wonder if that's my Play-Doh.
And I'm sure a lot of it is.
Oh, yeah.
You say they go through about 1,000 canisters a month.
Yeah, that's what they told us in the past.
What you've got is already providing Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, huge
Months
hospital,
and months, yeah.
with over a month of Play-Doh.
Yeah.
And that's just this year.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I'm trying to do the math. You've been doing this, what, 4 years now?
5. This was the 5th year.
This was the 5th year.
Yeah.
Okay, and has your donation always been this large, or has it grown over the years?
No, it's grown. And every time we like try to beat our number from last year. So it was 500, 15, 25. Last year was like 4,018. And so this year we were really trying to get 5,000, and we were pushing. And then I made a post like the last couple of days, and I was like, it's like 50 cents. Like everyone could find 50 cents in their couch cushion, you know, like just even if everyone just gave like one container of Play-Doh, and then we got like flooded in with Amazon orders on our porch, and we ended up, so far we've made 2 trips. We're going down again today. 2 trips with my van, like packed to the brim. Because it's a lot. It's a lot of Play-Doh. Yeah. So
okay, so this 1,000 canisters you have, this is just over the last couple weeks.
10,000.
Okay, 10,000. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
You're Children's Hospital supplier, aren't you?
I mean,
but that's great, because for every canister they don't have to buy, they can put into other therapies, other research, other treatment for kids that really, really need it.
Yeah, it's just a little way of giving back. I mean, you know, that hospital has saved my daughter's life, and, you know, she's 8 and thriving, and she's finally back in school, and so, you know, just a little way of giving back. And it like I said, it's 50 cents. Like, it's not this big, crazy thing that's going to put people in the, you know, broke. It's 50 cents.
Tiffany, during the pandemic, my dad spent quite a bit of time here in Henry Mayo, and I was so grateful for the doctors and nurses that took such good care of him. I sent over a dozen donuts. That was a little way of giving back. Sending tens of thousands of canisters of Play-Doh to cover the entire need for all the children at Children's Hospital is not a little way of giving back. This is a major undertaking.
I mean, it's... Each person just has to put a little bit, you know, and
right, but you're organizing this, and this is absolutely amazing. So your closet is just filled with dresses and Play-Doh.
Well, my garage, but yes, but we don't have much Play-Doh left. Like I said, we've made two trips already and donated most of it, but we still, you know, I still leave the link open if anybody still wants to send.
Okay, so you coordinate this effort mostly around Brooklyn's birthday in March. But as things continue to come in, and basically as you run out of space, you go make a drop.
Yeah, we have a lot of appointments down there with my daughter still. So whenever, you know, the 2 main trips were literally just to go drop off Play-Doh. Now, whatever comes in, we'll just drop off, you know, at our next appointment, whenever that may be. Happens to be today, this week, but, you know, we'll be back again in 2 weeks. So whenever we go back, we just take whatever we have.
Oh, okay. So if you have 10 canisters or 10,000, you just take them down there.
Yep.
Okay. Fantastic. So, excuse me, you've mentioned the link several times. You've got an Amazon wish list link?
Yeah.
How do people search that on Amazon?
So I'm not certain, like, if it's really that easy, but it's called Brooklyn's Blessings CHLA Play-Doh 2022.
Okay.
So, but Amazon doesn't give you like a real friendly, you know, URL code or whatever it is. So if you can't find it like that, you can attach the link somewhere.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and search for it here on Amazon, and we'll attach that link. And you're absolutely right. Just searching Brooklyn's Blessings doesn't get it for me.
Yeah.
So one more time, what was the full key
Let me
phrase that you
read
gave
it
me? Brooklyn's
exactly to
Blessings.
you. It's Brooklyn's Blessings, CHLA, Plato 2022, or something along those lines. It's loading. Hold on. Here.
Okay, well that's I get a bunch of links for Play-Doh coming up, but I'm sure if our listeners spend a little bit more time on Amazon, they won't have a hard time finding it. We'll look for it, and if you can find
And
it.
it's also on, same on community, SCV community chat, society chat page, Mom Connection, my personal page. Like,
Okay. Okay,
you'll be
perfect.
able to find, like I said, an unfriendly link there. But they give you like all these numbers and letters, and it's not like easy to share.
And I'm going to bombard you and just try to make it maybe a little harder on you, a little easier on our listeners. If folks text you at 661-714-4415, then
Oh yeah, I could
you'll
send
be
the
able to-
link.
Okay,
Sure.
okay. Fantastic. Tiffany, you keep referring to, I just do this and a little way of giving back, but these are extraordinary things that you're doing. You're collecting and then donating dresses for young ladies going to prom, to weddings, to formals, things like that, totally free of charge, and then you're going above and beyond that, and then you're also providing thousands and thousands and thousands of canisters of Play-Doh for Children's Hospital. Where does all this come from? Were you raised doing stuff like this, or?
No, no, not really. I don't know. I feel like the world is just full of like so much negativity, and it's just not necessary. Like, if you can just make one person smile by doing something really simple, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. I don't have a lot of means to, be donating to this cause and that cause, but I can make connections and make things happen, and simple little things that you can do to help people is.
That's a fantastic point. We can't all scratch out a $10,000 check to
Nope.
support this charity or that charity, but everybody can do something, whether it's
Yes.
great or small. So if you want to put together a huge project like you've done with the Play-Doh and with the dresses, great, or just contribute to what you and Brooklyn are doing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
A lot of times it's just about making connections. I'll post,
Yeah.
so-and-so needs a jacket for their toddler, or, so-and-so needs groceries, or so-and-so needs whatever. And it's a lot of times just posting and making a connection. It doesn't always have to be, you don't always have to be the one to be like forking it all out. You just have to like connect. Someone has a need and someone has something that other person needs, and like putting those pieces of the puzzle together.
That's beautiful, because we all have a voice.
We do.
Right, and all you have to do is use it. I did notice on your page you had sort of adopted a family. I think it was a single mom with 3 kids. Might not have been single. I'm trying to remember, but a mom with 3 kids. A couple of them had some pretty extreme needs that weren't being covered by insurance, and you just said, "Hey, this mom needs
can
something.
help.
Who can
Yeah,
help?"
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do a lot of that. Like I'm saying, just like putting pieces of puzzles together. Like we did Christmas families this year, and we ended up doing like 25 families, and it's all like, who needs, who isn't going to be able to make Christmas for their family. And I honestly don't ask a lot of questions. Sometimes people say, well, how do you know they're truly in need? I'm not the judge or
That's
the
on them,
jury. That
right.
is not my responsibility. If God put it there, then, I'm going to find a way to make it work. And then, community members will just start buying things from their list and sending them, and we wrap every single item and deliver it to the families. And so it's, it's just whatever there's a need. And just the other day, there was some Afghan refugees who were staying in Castaic. They were moving to Texas, needed luggage. I just put a search. Hey, does anyone have luggage lying around? Oh, yeah, I actually have some in my donation pile, and Goodwill's not accepting. So
Wow.
they dropped them off on my porch, and we got 10 suitcases for the family in a matter of 24 hours.
The more I talk to you, the more I hear you're doing.
No, it's just...
Oh, my goodness.
To me, it's just second nature. Like somebody needs something, and somebody has it.
Gosh. Okay, so I want everyone that's listening to just take that example. If you see a need, you don't have to do anything huge. Tiffany doesn't think she's doing anything incredible. She's just speaking up and and scratching on our generosity bone by saying, "Hey, kids in Children's Hospital need Play-Doh. Send me Play-Doh and I'll deliver it.
Yeah.
I'm going there anyways.
Yeah.
Kids need dresses for prom. Got a prom dress? Send it to me. I'll get it to someone.
Yeah.
But it truly is extraordinary, Tiffany. You're an amazing neighbor, and I want to thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for inspiring us, and then just because I haven't been imposing enough on you, I want to give out your phone number one more time so that folks can text you and say, hey, I've got a couple of prom dresses that I'm going to drop off. Or, hey, I need a prom dress. Can you help me out?
We have plenty still.
All right. So, again, Tiffany's phone number is 661-714-4415. 661-714-4415. And also, if you're a small business owner, Tiffany's already getting texts.
Are coming
that is
in.
fantastic. Hopefully that's a text from a small business owner, somebody that owns a hair salon.
It's someone who has dresses that they would love to donate.
Fantastic. I love it. Hey, they don't call us Awesome Town for nothing. And, if you own a hair salon, a nail salon, if you've got costume jewelry or real jewelry that you're going to donate to Tiffany and her young people, or you want to donate some Play-Doh, come on, Santa Clarita. I know you can do this. Text Tiffany at 661-714-4415. Tiffany, like I said, you're an amazing neighbor. You're the salt of the earth. You're an inspiration. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming in this morning. We appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to have a little bit of fun. Big T's calling in. We're going to do some trivia and goof off to send you into the weekend with a smile. I am Matt Watson, and this is your hometown station, KHTS. Okay, Big T, we're on the air now. Behave yourself. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCDI and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson. And now, before we get to that, I'd like to welcome in Producer Sarah. Producer Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Matt, for having me on. It's been a great show.
Sarah, you've put together a phenomenal show this morning. Gosh, so heartwarming. We just had Tiffany in here talking about the prom dresses she's given away, the thousands and thousands of canisters of Play-Doh she's donating to Children's Hospital, and she's doing it without spending a dime. She's doing it all because you, her neighbors, are generous. And so I want to give out her phone number one more time. If you've got a prom dress or a wedding dress or any kind of dress that you don't need, donate it to Tiffany, 661-714-4415, 661-714-4415. And then if you also want to text that phone number and get Tiffany's link to donate Play-Doh to kids that are, just working to stay healthy down at Children's Hospital, go ahead and text her.
I found the link, Matt.
Oh, you found it?
It is in the Facebook live chat.
Producer Sarah, you are amazing. But Producer Sarah, while we've invited you and we're glad you're here, this is not your time. This is Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. Y'all know Big T. He is a longtime resident and leader in Santa Clarita. He's an executive and philanthropist. Big T is an amazing father, husband, and community leader. And Big T received his bachelor's degree in business administration, but he didn't need it. He had been an accomplished bachelor well prior to receiving that degree. But not anymore, ladies. He got snatched up over 30 years ago. Here he is. He's Mom's favorite. Big T, welcome to the show.
What's up, brother man?
I'm in the house, y'all.
Good, glad to hear it.
All righty. So Big T, we got some bad news. Unfortunately, Engineer Patty got kidnapped from us. He's on special assignment. Carl's got him out at Central Park getting ready for the big Home and Garden show this weekend. But we've got your old buddy Engineer Andrew on the wheels of steel this morning.
I'm here.
So
Outstanding.
Andrew, Sarah, and I are gonna play with you this morning, and so I just want to remind our listeners that we're gonna hit our buzzer. We're gonna call out our name when we know an answer, but you have an advantage over us. You don't have to shout out your name. You just shout out the answers. I'm gonna keep score here in studio. Y'all keep score at home. Big T, let's do this.
All right, so I got a little bit of a fun fact. And, on this show, Matt, we don't like to make fun of anybody, but we do love to poke fun at our own Irish heritage, right?
Yeah.
So on June 18th, 1875 in Dublin, Ireland, Malone's Malt House caught fire. The malt house was destroyed, and 5,000 barrels of whiskey burst, resulting in a river of whiskey running down the streets. Word spread quickly as people rushed to see what happened. In all, 13 people died as a result of the fire. None of the deceased perished in the flames, nor did they die of smoke inhalation. Each succumbed to alcohol poisoning from drinking the free derelict whiskey.
That's not funny.
Oh my God, that's awful that I'm laughing.
That's the most Irish thing
using their
ever.
boots to scoop up the whiskey and then drink the whiskey out of their boots.
Using their boots to scoop up whiskey off the street, drink it out of their boots, and they got alcohol poisoning. That is the most Irish thing ever, Tony.
All righty, so we ready?
No, give me a minute. I got to take a knee. All right, I think we're good.
All right, what's the name of the biggest technology company in South Korea?
Andrew. Oh.
Andrew.
Say Samsung?
That is correct, Samsung.
Oh, good pull, Andrew.
Hey, Andrew, I'm getting a little bit of feedback from my own voice through the phone. I don't know if that could be fixed or not. No big deal.
That's just your ego talking to you.
Yeah, exactly. There's a voice in my head. Which metal was discovered by Hans Christian Ørsted in 1825?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Iron.
Incorrect.
Sarah?
Sarah?
I'll say titanium.
Not titanium. You got a guess, Andrew?
Andrew, aluminum.
Aluminum's correct.
Yeah.
For Andrew.
Whoa!
I was
Check it out.
going to say heavy.
Heavy metal.
What's the capital of Portugal?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Lisbon.
Lisbon's correct. What's the chemical symbol for silver?
Andrew.
Frogger.
Andrew.
AG?
I'm sorry?
AG?
AG's correct.
Oh, man.
What's the world's smallest bird?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Humming.
Yeah, it's a bee hummingbird.
Yeah.
What did Al Capone's business card state his occupation was?
Frogger. OG.
You either know it or you don't. No.
Yeah.
OG. It listed him as a used furniture salesman.
All right.
All right. Kratos is the main character of what video game series?
Andrew.
Andrew.
God of War?
God of War, correct. Who's won the most total Academy Awards?
Frogger.
Sarah.
Frogger.
Peter Jackson.
Incorrect. Sarah?
Edith Head.
Incorrect. He is now a company.
He is now a company?
Nope.
You don't know.
Walt Disney.
Okay.
All right.
Kind of a technicality.
How many bones do we have in our ear?
Andrew. 3?
Sarah.
Sarah.
6.
Incorrect.
Andrew. 3.
3. 3 is correct.
All right, check it out. So you just wait in line, you'll get it.
I got it.
Which musician sold the most records after their death?
Frogger.
Frogger.
I'm going to go John Lennon.
Sarah.
Incorrect. Sarah.
Elvis Presley.
Incorrect.
Andrew. Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson is correct. It was going to be Tupac, but he's not dead yet.
Right?
That's right. He's in the Bahamas.
Well, and it's about to be
He is.
Prince. He's in the Bahamas.
With Big Papi. How many elements are there in the periodic table?
Frogger.
Frogger.
All of them.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to go 60.
Incorrect.
More than that. It's way more than that.
Andrew.
Way more than that.
162.
A little less than that.
We left a window for you, Sarah.
140 what?
118.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. In what country would you find Mount Kilimanjaro?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Tanzania.
Tanzania is correct. Yeah. What's a group of pandas known as?
Frogger.
Adorable.
Frogger.
Sarah stole my answer.
No.
I'm going to go with a herd.
Incorrect.
No. An express. I can tell you.
Incorrect. It actually is very fitting.
Express.
They're called an embarrassment.
Aww.
I've got an embarrassment of pandas. Oh, that's
Exactly. We're going to go down a music path for a little bit.
All right.
What American pop group created the surfing sound in the 60s?
Andrew.
Sarah.
Andrew.
The Beach Boys.
Beach Boys is correct.
He's
Name
killing
the
us,
band
Sarah.
with the following members: John Deacon, Brian May,
Andrew.
Roger Taylor, Andrew.
Oh, no.
Frogger.
No.
Frogger. Frogger.
Frogger.
Queen.
Ah, there it is.
Did you say Queen?
I said Queen.
I did now. Which singer was known as the King of Pop and the Gloved One?
Frogger.
Andrew.
Frogger.
Again, Michael Jackson.
Hey.
Michael Jackson.
I'm catching up on you, Andrew.
Which American pop star had back-to-back 2015 chart successes with singles Sorry and Love Yourself?
Andrew.
Andrew.
Justin Bieber?
Justin Bieber's correct.
He's a believer.
Losing My Religion was a hit for which
Frogger.
alternative rock band in 1991?
Frogger. R.E.M.
Frogger. R.E.M.'s correct.
Woohoo.
What song has the following lyrics? Suddenly I'm not half the man I used to be. There's a shadow hanging over me.
Nope.
There's your John Lennon.
There you go. What song is it?
Yesterday.
There we go. Oh, yeah. I knew it was. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Phil's out there. He's probably making fun of us.
Exactly. Which board game consists of 40 spaces containing 28 properties
Frogger.
for railroads?
Frogger.
Sarah.
Frogger.
Monopoly.
Monopoly's correct. Can you name the 6 suspects in the board game Clue?
Frogger.
Frogger.
No.
No.
That's correct.
I'm giving myself a point.
All right. Hey, I'll give it a shot.
All right.
So we've got Mrs. White, Miss Scarlet, Professor
Yep.
Plum, Colonel Mustard.
Yep.
There's a Mr. Green,
We'll give you that, Reverend Green.
Reverend Green, okay, and
Sarah's not religious.
oh, I got 5. Do I
She's
get
a
anything
bird.
for that?
Sure.
Oh, I knew that one.
Miss Peacock.
Hey.
There you go, Miss Peacock.
There we
So
go.
I knew the piece was blue.
All right. Big T, does she only get 1 point for that?
No, she gets 2.
She gets 2 points. All right.
Oh yeah, I'm on the board with 2.
Woohoo.
Which game do players guess clues from their teammates based on their drawings?
Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew. Pictionary.
Pictionary's correct.
Oh, yeah.
What game stimulates one's travels through his or her life from college to retirement,
Frogger.
to jobs, marriage? Andrew.
Is it the game of life?
The game of life.
I love that game where you pick up little teeny tiny pink
You get to
babies.
fill out your
and
car.
Little
That's
blue babies.
fantastic.
Yeah.
What is the only continent with land in all 4 hemispheres?
Frogger.
Frogger.
I'm going Asia.
Incorrect.
No.
Anybody?
Andrew.
Sarah?
Andrew.
Antarctica?
Incorrect. Sarah?
That was going to be my guess. Okay, Africa.
Africa's correct.
Hey.
All right. I did not know
Sarah,
it was in
Sarah
there.
gets 2 points for that one, too.
They
Which
narrowed
river
it down
flows?
pretty good.
Which river flows through the Grand Canyon?
Frogger.
Sarah.
Frogger.
The Colorado.
Colorado River. Where is the world's largest waterfall, Angel Falls, located?
Frogger.
Frogger.
I think it's between Brazil and Argentina, isn't it?
Which country is it in?
Brazil.
Incorrect.
Andrew.
Incorrect. It's not Argentina either.
Oh.
Sarah, you got anything?
Nope. Nothing.
It's Venezuela.
Oh, okay.
What's the state capital of New York?
Frogger.
Sarah.
Frogger.
Albany.
Albany's correct. These are the days I wish Patty was here. On what continent would you find the world's largest desert?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Asia.
Incorrect.
Andrew.
Yes, you're
Africa.
correct. Oh, no, incorrect.
Wait, what did Andrew say?
I thought he was sticking with his original response. He said Africa.
All right, so Sarah's going Australia.
Incorrect. It's Antarctica.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Ah.
Because Because a desert's measured by the amount of precipitation, and while it doesn't rain or snow much, it just stays frozen. Okay.
What's the capital of Ireland?
Sarah?
Frogger.
Sarah?
Dublin.
Correct. And what was the name of the malt house?
Oh, I don't remember.
McGinty's.
Malone's.
That's what I said.
What's the smallest U.S. state by area?
Frogger.
Sarah?
Frogger.
Rhode
Frogger.
Island.
Rhode Island's correct.
And I'm in the lead.
Oh, no.
What's the tallest type of tree?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Sequoia.
Sarah?
Sarah.
California redwood.
It's a redwood.
Yeah.
Sequoias are bigger and around. Redwoods are taller.
Okay.
Correct.
This
are
has
the
been
5
Botany
Great
with
Lakes?
producer Sarah. Go ahead, Big T. What was that?
What are the 5 Great Lakes?
Ooh.
Sarah.
Frogger. Go, Sarah.
Sarah.
We've got Huron, Ontario, Erie, Michigan, and the one I can't remember. Oh, wait.
Don't go getting all uppity on us, Sarah. You're not.
Oh,
the one that
man.
rules
I
them
keep
all.
doing this. All right, Matt, what's the 5th one I'm leaving out?
Superior.
Superior.
Superior. That's it.
Producer Sarah, we're going to give you a point on that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I didn't
point on
even get your trying to help me. I flew right over my head.
Big T, one more question.
All righty, quickly. What's the capital of Canada?
Frogger.
Sarah.
Frogger.
Quebec.
Incorrect.
Oh, Andrew, you can
Sarah?
tie it.
Ottawa.
Ottawa is correct.
Ottawa. Sarah, nice comeback. Not quite enough. I still got you this morning, but great game. Big T, we got to wrap it up. Thanks for swinging by. We'd like to thank our guests, school psychologist for SCBI Charter School, Chris Jones, grassroots philanthropist Tiffany Hernandez, producer Sarah, engineer Andrew, engineer Carlos, and thank you for listening. Join us again next week and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCBI, and I lead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.